Calgary has a rich history with a lot of it maybe even unknown to current residents, and that's why the Chinook Country Historical Society helps to organize Historic Calgary Week, which kicks off July 25th. And Walt Deboney is the co-chair of this year's event and joins us now. Good morning, Walt. Thank you so much for being with us. I was looking through the itinerary. This is incredibly comprehensive. You have over 80 different events. That's amazing. So for folks who are unaware of this week, even though it's the 35th, tell us about the big picture. What is Historic Calgary Week?
Well, Historic Calgary Week is an opportunity to bring together a whole bunch of organizations that have an interest in history and make it available to the public. Generally, everything we do is free to anyone who wants to join us, and we look at events, history events and future events, if you will, in Calgary and region. We have events in High River, Canmore, Cochrane, and so on.
And this year's theme is growing with the flow, which I love. And so, you are touching on a number of different themes, including transportation. Give us an overview of some of those events.
Well, the theme started from, was inspired by the water crisis we had a year ago. And everyone realized how essential some of these things are. And when you think about it, there's a whole bunch of other things in our life which are essentials, and in the growth of our city, and transportation. Obviously, the flow of ideas, the flow of immigration, and so on. These are all important, and so we thought we'd explore some of these things, how they came to be what they were, and what the implications for the future are.
And there's so many different ways that you're showing off these events, including a really neat one happening at C-Space. And this one takes an overview of architecture. Is that what's happening at the C-Space location? Well,
C-Space obviously has been very successful as an arts incubator, and they're working with the city to look at the Fire Hall number 1, which is an iconic building that goes back to the early 1900s, and combining that with the Northwest Travelers building and building something similar. And this would help revitalize, obviously, our center downtown, and bring a necessary facility to the public.
And it's interesting, we showed one of the more modern buildings and how we are using buildings differently now, even within our downtown core, or what we're asking of folks who are inside of these fire halls. You have a really interesting event coming up. I know that if you're from Calgary, if you're an OG, an original Calgarian, you know of the Cecil Hotel, but there is an event on July 31st that I bet, while we know of the Cecil, I bet a lot of people don't actually know about the history of this iconic hotel.
Well, that's right. The Cecil's been gone since 2009, I think it was, and it had obviously a checkered history. And we have a fellow who used to be an undercover cop working the Cecil beat. He's going to be a dual presentation, talk about his experiences at the Cecil. And also George Weber, who's a well-known local photographer who's done some fantastic work in the Cecil and the King Eddie and the St. Louis back in the day when it was homes for people who were less advantaged. And George's done great work in getting to know these people and photographing their circumstances.
Really quickly, you said most of these events are free. Can you give us an overview of what they are? Because it's not just sit and listen to a talk, but those are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of walks, and I haven't focused on the walks because most of our walks are very popular, and we have to have limits on them, and most of them are filled already. In the past, we've had no limits, and we had 175 people show up for a walk.
Gosh.
Totally unmanageable, so we've had to have limits on registration. But many of these other events, especially the ones that I've talked about, are in facilities which are like Central Library, which has a large capacity. We invite everybody to come in and stop and listen to what these people have to say. It's amazing what they bring to us.
I encourage people to take a look at the list. I guarantee there's something on there for everybody.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Walt Deboney is the co-chair of Historic Calgary Week 2025. Historic Calgary Week runs from July 25th through to August 4th. And for more information, you can check out those links on your screen.